Boy, guys, I am pumped for this episode. Like I just kind of want to say up top, like it's Toys in the Attic. I've been pitching this forever. It's just I know you guys you were kind of keeping it at arm's length. You didn't kind of love the concept, or you weren't super enthusiastic about. But we're finally doing my favorite Aerosmith album of all time, and it's I couldn't be happy about this.
I mean, it's great.
Only their third studio album, right? It's
It's a great album, but is that what we're doing?
No, it's really not.
What?
No, it's Toys in the Attic, which is like we're talking about 80s like toys, like the toys that we grew up with, like action figure. Yeah. Not Aerosmith.
Not the best Aerosmith album ever.
That's debatable, but also no.
Right.
We're not going to talk about Big 10-inch Record.
Naveen,
we're not going to talk about Uncle Salty.
I'm not getting through to him, Naveen. Try maybe.
No. All right. So remember the fire at your parents' house?
Yeah.
And there was something in the attic that you kind of lost and you wish you hadn't.
Yeah, all my He-Man figures. I mean, but that's just.
I feel like we're so close.
That's what we're going to be talking about.
My toys were upstairs, and I remember that, but like
in the
the farmhouse where I grew up.
In what part of the farmhouse?
The storage unit of your farmhouse.
You're right, like right above on like Uncle Andy's apartment. We're not going to cover the Run DMC version of Walk This Way.
No,
the track that arguably invented rap rock.
True, very true.
Best and least problematic subgenre of music in our adult lives.
Very tempting, but
no, it's not what we're doing for tonight. Because we were supposed to do another movie. Well, not another movie, but we're supposed to do a movie, but it kind of got thrown around because of schedules, which was Masters of the Universe.
Right.
So in lieu of that, we decided to do this little one-off thing of Toys in the Attic, like actual things you used to grow up and play with.
Like a fun tie-in to like, we're going to do a He-Man movie.
Action figures.
Hold on, just look at my. Okay, that's got to go. That. Hold on. Hey. I got some slides. I got some slides like in the back catalog called the Cringer quiz. I guess we could use that.
Cringer, like the cat from He-Man.
Yeah.
That sounds appropriate, unless it's about something else.
Yeah. Sounds more.
Let's wing it.
Track. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
I got to throw out like a lot of stuff about like sort of Joe Perry's teenagehood and like Metro West Boston, but.
Save it. Don't throw it away. Just save it.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll put a pin in for that. Let's just get into it. But hold on. Rewriting this, and
okay. So, welcome to episode
episode 97 of Rebels Without a Pod, entitled "Toys in the Attic." (Parentheses not what you think). I'm just going to have to wing it here. We are the show that dares ask the question: how do these guys feel about Clamp Champ? He's got that clamp, but is he a chap? I'm just going off the fucking dome right here.
Listen, that's at least as good as most of our.
Right. It still works.
Right. Okay. All right. Still works. My name is John. Joining me tonight is my co-host Andy, who does our artwork and graphic design.
Hey, hey, hey.
Pod Daddy Eric will not be joining tonight. I just got a text from him that he's in a Jingle All the Way situation over a 1987 vintage Gwildor doll, complete with working magic guitar. So
that sounds amazing.
Yeah. I hope he records it on his phone and stuff. Takes
right. Yeah, we might have some Patreon material.
Yeah.
Buddy, so best of luck with that, I guess. We also have our producer Naveen on the ones and zeros. Buddy, how we sounded tonight?
Sounding great.
Okay.
Aside from a little misunderstanding, I guess, at the beginning, but it looks like we're getting back on track.
I'll purely leave that up to you whether or not we take that out in post.
Yeah, no problem. I'll give it a listen and see what happens.
All right. All of our content is currently up on the Rebels Without a Pod YouTube and Spotify channels. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. We're primarily an audio conversation show and trying to get established on Spotify, so we ask any YouTube subscribers, if you have a Spotify account and it's at all convenient, we'd appreciate a listen there. Also, this is a surprise for the audience and my co-host both, but we're about to actually debut fairly soon on Apple Podcasts as well. I looked into it. It's really, really easy to do. It's completely free. We could have been on there the entire time. So,
Oh,
Sweet.
yeah,
cool.
TBD on that. Programming notes. We're doing, for this particular episode, we are actually kind of pushing out our original plan last minute. Next week, we plan on wrapping up the cycle with the Canon-produced He-Man movie, Gary Goddard's 1987 Dolph Lundgren Masters of the Universe, which is still currently available to watch on Tubi. We'll follow that hopefully soon with a review of the new theatrical film, which released just a few days ago in early June. Andy, I believe, has already seen the movie a couple nights ago.
Last night.
Okay.
Yep.
You took your wife and daughter.
I sure did.
Okay, which is Andrew, you are a braver. You're a braver man. You are a stronger father than most.
It was a choice.
It was a choice.
I'm not sure if it was a good choice, but it was a choice.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, Naveen, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering, Masters of the Universe, you mentioned it's on Tubi.
Mm-hmm.
It's also on Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime as well. Okay.
Yeah, so if you have Amazon Prime, it is available there. But I was going to ask if you know by chance, because other movies seem to have different run times between Tubi and I think it was Tubi and Amazon Prime. So do you know the
right?
on Tubi,
in the case of Life Force, there was an extra 20 minutes of violence and nudity added into like the Tubi cut that did not make it into the Amazon Prime one, plus a voiceover introduction by John Larroquette.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is the same situation for the PG rated 1987 Masters of the Universe. Whether there's like a 20-minute longer cut with a bunch more tits and gore, like I would be over the moon if that was actually the case.
Well, that means there would be at least 20 minutes of interesting stuff to watch.
True.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There would be at most 20 minutes of interesting stuff to watch. I take it back.
That one is going to be an experience when we get to it finally. So,
Yeah.
Toys in the Attic, which is, I guess, what we're doing. I wanted to start out with a little bit. Over like the past few days since I actually got to see Masters of the Universe like in the theater, I've consumed about like 100 hours of podcast content at this point, over kind of He-Man, over like the new film, over kind of stuff about like the old sort of kind of like Dolph Lundgren movie. I would like to, for you guys, run down a very, very sort of quick sort of overview of just kind of like the history of like the He-Man toy itself, kind of during the 80s. Because it's a lot more fascinating and like a lot fucking weirder than I think you could ever like anticipate. So before we start, do you guys kind of let's kind of talk like the He-Man toys itself, kind of real briefly. Did you have any kind of context for how these things, how they came up with these things, or just kind of what like the context of like how it got made, or why it seemed to kind of come and go so quickly in like the market and kind of public conscious?
The only thing that I know, and I don't know if this even is what you're talking about, but is that they made the toy line, or at least they conceived of the toy line first, and then made a TV show, you know, a cartoon as almost like a long form commercial for the toy line.
Correct. Yeah. And what's kind of fascinating about that is doing that was literally illegal in America until the first Reagan administration, when that was explicitly overturned by the FCC in about like 1982, 1983. When
did the original Masters of the, or you know, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe cartoon debut?
I want to say the figures were 82, and then the cartoon itself was 83, 84.
Yeah.
So it was literally on the heels of that whole Reagan era thing.
Right. But
wow.
Let me get into the background a little bit, because like the more I've kind of dug into it, like the more just insane that it actually ended up being. Let's start here.
Yeah.
Ballpark, if you guys had to guess, how much money did the Kenner line of Star Wars figures make during its initial run?
Maybe a couple million.
Couple million.
I don't know. Maybe
a little higher.
A little higher. Did that well, huh?
Yeah.
The original line. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The original line debut. So I mean, the original movie, the first of the first trilogy, was 77.
77, then 80 and 83.
Then 83. Yeah.
Collectively, how much do you think like the Kenner action figure Star Wars toy line made within like kind of like what's considered the core run of the original trilogy?
Well, based on your response to Naveen's answer, I'm going to say $865 million.
$11 billion was Kenner's take from Star Wars
back in the early 80s and late 70s, and
which I mean that's fucking Anthropic money. That's open AI money right now.
Wow.
Yeah. Now here's the thing. Lucas did not come to Kenner, which was very just kind of like a minor player, small fry toy production company. He went to Mattel first. He's like, I got this movie coming out, Star Wars. This is 76. He is so cocky. He is so confident that this thing is going to hit. He came to Mattel before the New Hope was even released. He's like, I want to give you guys first option on this toy line. Mattel was like, who the fuck are you? What the fuck is a Star Wars? Get out of here. $11 billion. So the 80s corporate toy world was, you know, just you could sort of say their behavior in those first few years was just basically kind of collectively analogous to them waking up every day, punching themselves in like a dick a few times, and then trying to figure out how they even come close to that Star Wars money. All right. So you had two major players in kind of competition against Kenner at the time. There was a Mattel, which had Barbie and Hot Wheels, and there was Hasbro. Hasbro did, I would say, kind of moderately well. You know, they kind of set themselves up for kind of more long-term success by kind of being like a little bit safer and diversifying like a little bit more. Hasbro got famous in the 80s for kind of two major toy lines, both based on existing IP. First one, existing toy line based on it, like a long running, very kind of popular and pretty established kind of comic book series based on it, G.I. Joe, Real American Hero. You might have heard of it. They sort of looked at it, they kind of modernized it to kind of what kind of boys in the 80s were sort of interested in. The other thing that Hasbro did was it looked into the international markets. It realized, oh, this mysterious island nation of Japan, they got a lot of robot cartoons. I mean, like a lot of robot cartoons. And they ended up purchasing some IP from the Japanese companies, integrating a few together. That's where Transformers ultimately came from. And they did well, and they certainly did like a lot better long term. Mattel, on the other hand, they had Barbie, stranglehold still to this day on kind of what girls are interested in, and they had Hot Wheels, which had like a little bit of a kind of like a baked in sort of like appeal for boys already, but they're like, you know, we need Star Wars was a boys themed toy. Same thing with G.I. Joe and Transformers. It's like we need our own shit. They started doing market research. They showed boys that they kind of talked to in the 80s showed kind of affinity for three distinct things: futuristic space and sci-fi stuff, additional military action, and sword and sorcery barbarian fantasy. Conan the Barbarian had kind of come out around that time, so that was kind of public conscious. So they had those options of just kind of like of making a property that would utilize all three of them. Mattel lead designer Roger Sweet, though, decided instead of just kind of going after one of these things, he's like, yeah, fuck it. Let's kind of mush all three of these things together. He hired like a pretty broad creative team that included some people that would go on to have really incredible success, like later in their career, including J. Michael Straczynski, who was the guy that eventually kind of created Babylon 5 and then became like a major Spider-Man writer, and a young man named Paul Dini, who would go on to create a show called Batman the Animated Series eventually. He got all these things together. He's like, okay, sci-fi shit, military shit, sword and sandals, barbarian shit, go. They came up with He-Man. They had a bunch of crazy ideas. They were like, okay, we're just going to use the same body mold for all the guys and all the same body mold for all the girl characters. And we're just going to put it out into the world. A little bit of a problem at the time. They had, they didn't have a TV show. There was no long-standing kind of comic series like you would have with G.I. Joe or Transformers. Like, people knew nothing about these characters. So the innovation Mattel had was every single He-Man figure would get like a little mini comic attached to the action figure itself. You guys have any memory of these when playing with your own He-Man figures?
Only just now that you've said that, I completely forgot about the comic books.
Right.
I never had any He-Man toys. I always had to play with them at some friend's house if they had them. So
Right.
Never owned any.
So He-Man shipped with these mini comic books that's supposed to establish like the story and the lore, and then so following that, Mattel decided to start producing a full-length cartoon to follow the adventures of He-Man and its friends. This is kind of what gets into really interesting territory with how this happened how this kind of went during the Reagan administration. There was huge pushback kind of in the business world and culturally following a congressional and FTC effort in going back to 1979 to completely ban all advertising from children's entertainment television. Now, like the standing arrangement, the kind of detente that the toy producers and the TV producers had with the FCC was any cartoons that we put out for children, it should have one of three things. It should have either artistic merit, educational merit, or some kind of social or moral merit. Like, you know, the stance that the I've been saying FTC, it may actually have been
FCC?
The FCC. No, yeah, FCC is correct. The standing kind of the ongoing stance like the FCC had was whatever we do, children's entertainment cannot be just 30-minute commercials for some existing product and some existing toy, because they are just, you know, there was this mountain of psychological and kind of academic evidence for like this is the worst thing you can kind of do for cognitive development of a child is overexpose them to advertising like that. You know, there was kind of very clear evidence of kids who are exposed to more advertising show evidence of sort of impaired cognitive development, of lessened attention, of kind of like more sort of behavioral issues. A big sort of concern for the FCC as well at that point was the utilization of advertisement to kind of selling kids sugary junk food cereals, which was just so prevalent in kind of children's programming back in the day, because they were like, if we do this in an unregulated way, our country is going to have a litany of youth kind of health and dental impacts. All this kind of went away. All this was kind of pushed back on really strongly in '78 when the FCC tried to completely ban any advertising out of children's TV. The TV producers and toy producers lobbied Congress really, really strongly. Reagan promised to install like an FCC head that would just kind of completely deregulate the market. So a lot of these things that we kind of grew up on, just He-Man, Transformers, G.I. Joe, were the first programs produced under this kind of new regime of basically a show could be not 100% advertising, but it could be 98% advertising. The reason in He-Man that you see like those little kind of moral things, like the lesson of the story at the end of the day, at the end of those shows, is it was a concession to the FCC of just trying to be like, yeah, we'll throw something, we'll try to throw some kind of social moral lesson in to our bullshit, like 30-minute like advertisement. So what happened here, man, it was fucking staggering how well it did. But in 1982, when the figure debuted, it was making $38 million a year. Cut to 4 years later, $400 million a year. Mattel got greedy at that point. They started overproducing. They started completely saturating the market with sort of kind of tertiary characters nobody kind of really cared about. Anytime that a retailer, they say if they ordered 100,000 He-Man figures, Mattel would ship them 200,000 figures, and under the auspices of, you're going to need these things. Don't worry, these things are going to sell. 1987, a huge crash, combination of a couple different things. Kids just culturally generally lost interest of He-Man completely all at once. Part of that was just like the market being flooded. Part of that was kind of everyone collectively realizing like the cartoon was sort of garbage. Part of that was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles debuting for the first time. And part of it is the movie we're going to talk about next week, the canon Masters of the Universe movie being such an aggressive and colossal flop. 1987, the previous year's sales of $400 million cratered to $700 million, to $7 million in 87. And wow. And basically by 1988, the He-Man ceased to exist as a retail product and as a cultural entity.
I didn't realize it was that short-lived.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, do you guys have any memory of just kind of from that period? It's a very strong memory for me, but kind of just checking out on He-Man like all at once, because like 87, this is exactly in the sweet spot for us.
For me personally, I mean, I remember watching He-Man a little bit, but again, like I said, I didn't have the toys. Actually, I was gonna, do it for the episode. I've actually never seen this original Masters of the Universe movie, so I was never that big into He-Man in general. So it just never.
It neither had highs nor lows for you.
Right. So it never really hit me. Like I remember seeing the commercials for the movie and be like, yeah, I got to see that, and just never ending up seeing it for whatever reason.
Right.
Or maybe I did see it and just don't remember it at all because it was, so fantastic from what I hear.
Right.
But so yeah, for it to be having that high and then just falling off, it didn't really.
Again, this is 1 year, 400 mil in 86 to 7 mil in 87 to 0 in 88.
Yeah. Didn't realize that happened or occurred or anything.
All right. Andy, how about yourself?
I definitely was a He-Man fan. I had quite a few of the toys. I was never a completionist for really any toy lines that I had. I was always kind of more about mixing stuff up, and I would have He-Man with the Ninja Turtles, with G.I. Joes, with whatever. But so yeah, I don't specifically remember when I kind of moved on from He-Man.
Right.
I know, to your point, I know that Ninja Turtles definitely was a big part of it, because that became
completely eclipsed everything else that was happening in toys.
That became my thing after a while. But I don't remember exactly. I do remember the cartoon being not great. I watched it. I watched it like any kid would watch a Saturday morning cartoon. I mean, back then we had 4 channels or something like that, because we didn't have cable. And you watched what was on, and He-Man was one of the things that was on at that point. So I would watch it on Saturday mornings or whatever. But yeah, no, I don't have a specific memory of that.
I have kind of just way too much kind of stuff to get into, like about He-Man personally, and I think I would kind of rather pin that for the theatrical review that we could like do like later on down the line. It was a very important show to me for like a bunch of different reasons. But what I would like to start with instead is kind of putting like the He-Man stuff aside. He'll have kind of plenty of coverage for like the next couple of records that we do. Let's start with for you guys. What is like the first memory of like the action figures that you had that you ended up really loving?
So you're saying action figures in general?
Yeah.
Let's see. I know we had a couple of the Star Wars figurines. Not anything major. I don't. Maybe we had a Han Solo one, which was a big one, but then we had a couple.
You didn't have a full-size Millennium Falcon or anything, like
right? And any of the other major characters, from what I recall, maybe a stormtrooper and one of the. I remember fondly one of the like cannons or whatever they had from Empire Strikes Back that they in the beginning where they started setting up and you know to play to go against the fortress there.
Talking, I'm going to go over to my little display.
Ooh, he must have one or 12. So there's that.
Not just not the figure, but I have a. Is this the one?
That yes,
yeah. This is a hand painted miniature from the Imperial Assault board game by Fantasy Flight. I did like a few years back. Yeah,
very cool.
Bit of a fan myself.
So there were those, and then I'm trying to think of other ones. I remember at one point there was this craze. I don't know if it ended up being a cartoon as well, but they were food action figures. Like there was a burger and there was a pizza and it was some kind of
was this a McDonald's Happy Meal branded thing?
I don't think so. It may have been, but I don't recall it being a McDonald's Happy Meal thing. But it was
it was just food action figures.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I just can't remember what they were called. So those were ones that we had with figurines and playing.
Another thing that probably would not have been able to exist pre-Reagan, but after that, like just all bets were off.
Yeah, this was definitely probably late 80s, early 90s kind of thing.
Right.
So those are the ones that I can remember playing with often at the moment. But I'm blanking on a lot. I know there was a few, but I was definitely big into Legos, so that was always,
of course,
a big thing. And just
and this way predates because just kind of like similarly, these things were kind of guided like a bit more by kind of principle and intention for their time. It took Lego was a Danish-based company, and for a very, very long time, their stance very strongly was we are not going to adapt IP. We are, this is a toy to encourage imagination and creativity. This does not need this commercial element like slapped on top of it. But then they at one point they were kind of in tough financial states. They started doing Lego branded Star Wars stuff, and then off the races after that.
Gotcha.
Andy, how about yourself? Earliest 80s childhood toy that you remember?
I mean, the one that really kind of jumps out at me is I had the full set of the die-cast Voltron.
Oh, sure.
Where,
nice.
And then later after that, I ended up then getting, I don't think I ended up with the full set, but I had the more like the plastic one that actually you could fit the little action figures in. But I did have the die-cast one, which was probably, I don't know.
That one was composed of 5 different colored lions, and you could kind of contort them in a way and actually put them together as a Voltron.
Yep. And it was heavy, and it was, it was like a really high quality toy. And like, I don't even know how I came to have it or where my interest in it came from, because I was pretty young at that point. I was probably, I don't know, second grade, first or second grade. So it wasn't like I probably wasn't even super aware of Voltron when I ended up getting this thing. I don't know if it was a gift from my I don't know where it came from, but I remember that being
so Voltron itself, the original property came over wholesale from Japan, and I remember kind of watching some of the episodes first. Anime back in the 80s kind of frightened me, but also sort of intrigued me like at the same time. So I was definitely aware of kind of what Voltron was as a property at that point.
Yeah. So that, I mean, that's the one that really sticks out in my head because it was it really was such an impressive thing.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly wish I still had it.
I'm sure it's absolutely massive as a collector's item at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine what it would be worth today. I know that I beat the shit out of it, and
Right.
like, you know, it's just like any toy. I played with it. You know, I absolutely played with it.
Right.
So it ended up in the tub with me when I would take baths as a kid. I mean, like, you know, the whole 9 yards. But
I remember that thing being so heavy and so sharp. It's amazing, like people weren't getting tetanus off of that thing.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of, yeah. Toys after that, I don't remember ever being of that quality.
Sure.
Right. Yeah,
that was a cool one.
I think I had a couple of the Voltron ones. I remember we never had the whole thing, but had a couple of them, and then quite a few Transformers.
Yeah.
But yeah, Voltron was definitely one.
So the earliest action figure toy I can personally remember is again like the Kenner Star Wars, and I thought my parents at the time were buying them for me, but it turned out they were actually hand-me-downs from some of the family friends that we were getting.
Wow.
And my dad had a very interesting toy distribution mechanic. As I was growing up, Dad would basically kind of call me out to the barn where I was working, and he would take out an apple box and he would take out a hammer, okay, and he would tell me, "This is a magic apple box. This is a magic hammer, and I'm going to turn over the apple box, and you close your eyes. I'm going to tap on it a couple times with the magic hammer, and this magic combination, apple box and hammer, can create action figures. It can bring over more toys from the Star Wars universe." And I was so excited by that. I was so into that because, you know, he just kind of tapped and be like, "Oh, it's Han Solo," and the next day come on tap, I'm like, "Oh, it's Chewbacca," or like the medical droid or something like that.
That is an amazing. That's such a good story.
Here's the twist.
Uh-oh.
Here's where it gets like a little bit dark.
I spoke too soon.
Yeah,
wait, dark or just really hilarious?
Well, I will leave that to my co-hosts and listeners to decide. My father, being somewhat of a cut-up himself, like being like a bit of a comedian, it wasn't just enough to sort of see joy on his firstborn son's face as he was doing this. So at a certain point, it became less about giving his kid toys and more of just kind of like a meta comedy act. I don't know why exactly, but the people we were getting the Star Wars toys from, they had a bunch of Lando Calrissians. They had like 9 Lando Calrissian dolls.
Okay.
And at one point, Dad decided it would be funny because I already had a Lando Calrissian. Dad decided it'd be funny if he gave me another Lando Calrissian. And then Dad decided it would be funny. I came out the next day expecting another Star Wars tie. He thought, "Oh, this will be funny if I give John a third Lando Calrissian and a fourth Lando Calrissian and a fifth." This went for a week straight, and I, kind of a quiet kid, you know, certainly just I'm getting toys, but I had a lot of Lando Calrissians at this point, and I started getting more and more just anxious, and more confused every time a new Lando Calrissian came out. And I'm sure to Dad it was funnier and funnier every single time his magic apple box and hammer brought out like a new Lando Calrissian. Here's the thing: the 8th time Dad created a magical Lando Calrissian, he was out of the first 7 Lando Calrissians were in perfectly good states. But when I turned over the apple box to see what I was getting that time, the 8th Lando Calrissian was completely missing its head. So big wide smiles from the 2 actual fathers that I'm kind of telling the story to. I apparently burst out crying at that point.
So you mean he got exactly what he wanted out of it?
I just went, "No, no Calrissians." So Mom at that point, let's just hold, came to my dad, and she's like, "You have to stop doing the Lando Calrissian bit."
And he
I
was
mean-
like, "But I have one more."
I don't know why
mhm.
you got so many Lando Calrissians, or why these people have so many of them. So I'm just wondering, like,
The question that like the story begs more questions than it actually answers.
yeah,
Yeah.
it sure does.
I do have a question.
Sure.
Was that one of them?
It was. It was not. It's the clouds. It's the Bespin when he comes out in like the blue tunic and the cape. Lando Calrissian.
Got it.
I would know it if I saw it right away. It's like Old Boy when he finally tastes like the gyoza he ate every day for 15 years.
Yep.
I would recognize that fucking Lando Calrissian.
Got it.
Okay.
This one just so happened to be sitting on my windowsill over here.
Yeah. Naveen, I have one more kind of story around that, but let's see how the show goes. Let's leave it for post credits if you guys want to.
All right.
Yeah. Cut to 35 years later for the story. Anyway. Out of all the 80s stuff that we grew up with, what was favorite for you guys?
Like I said, I didn't have a lot of the big ones.
By the way, you texted the group chat. It was the Food Fighters.
Food Fighters.
Was the name of the line that you're.
And
that's funny on so many levels.
It was great. I mean, it was probably cheap, so my parents got it for me. You know, so.
Oh, I remember those guys.
Yeah. Good. And
hold on. Yeah. One of them literally is Frylock from Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Without the mustache.
Yep.
I think I had the pizza and the burger, so of those, but definitely loved playing with those. Definitely big into the Transformers. We had a couple of the dinosaur ones.
Oh, sure.
I love playing.
Those were absolutely gigantic.
Yeah, I love the T-Rex. We had the T-Rex one, and that was my favorite. My brother and Paul had the Grimlock.
Is that right?
I think so. Yeah.
Grimlock was the T-Rex, I want to say.
I think so.
Yeah.
And then I believe my brother Napone, who's been on multiple times, had the Stegosaurus one.
Oh, sure.
Definitely that one. And my brother Neil, we've had on once. He had not a dinosaur one, but I think he had the Optimus Prime with the trailer. So that was a cool one.
Nice.
So that was big. Definitely play with those quite often, and enjoyed them very, very much.
Do either of you remember watching and being traumatized by the original Transformers movie from back?
Of course.
Of course. Right?
Traumatized? I don't think so, but I remember watching
Optimus
it.
Prime dies.
You know what the marketing intention was behind that at the time? Have you read the story behind this? Hasbro decided, you know what, we were kind of exhausted on the current line of Transformers. Let's do a movie where we kill off of the original line so we can sell a new line to kids.
And the new Optimus Prime, second Optimus Prime, or Rodimus Prime, I think was his name.
Right.
Was just garbage.
Was the Temu brand, was extremely lame.
Just awful. Yeah. That movie, yes. I do remember being, traumatized. Traumatized by it. I remember going to school the next day after I had seen it or whatever, and just like it kind of being the thing that I thought about all day. I don't know why I remember this, but yeah, it was on my mind the entirety of the day. Like, oh my God, Optimus Prime's dead.
I loved movies so much as a kid. The Transformers movie is maybe the first time I remember standing up, going to the VCR and hitting the stop button about midway through. Just be like, I'm not going to deal with this.
I can't do this right now, guys. Yeah.
That movie, I rewatched it as an adult, and it is fascinating. It might even kind of be worth sort of kind of covering on the show. It has Leonard Nimoy as the new bad guy. It has a significant scene with Weird Al Yankovic. It has Orson Welles literally on his deathbed, giving his final ever performance as the voice of a planet-eating robot called the Unicron.
Yeah, there were quite a few big names in that movie. I remember.
Yeah.
Oh, we have to watch this then, if that's the case, because I don't know if I've actually seen it since the very first time I watched it.
It's kind of a fascinating and like the animation is surprising. I mean, it is incredibly dark, really grim. It would be it does not feel like a kid's thing from 1986. It feels like a teenage thing that they would put out on like the Netflix anime channels now.
Then I'm in favor of watching it for sure.
Andy, any sort of personal sort of like overall favorites for you on top of what we talked about already?
So I was and continue to be an incredibly spoiled only child. So I have quite a few that I could list off. It's going to sound like I'm bragging. And fuck it, maybe I am. I don't know.
4 channels back in the day. That must
yeah,
have been.
man. Yeah, man.
We got most of Fox and half of NBC.
Okay. All right. So I was ahead of the game with my 4 channels. G.I. Joe was huge for me. I had a ton of G.I. Joe stuff. I mentioned already Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We already talked about He-Man and Star Wars. Thundercats.
Sure.
Thundercats.
Mask. I don't know if you guys remember Mask.
Yes.
Of course, yeah.
Great. Loved it.
Mask was super cool. Transformers, but also GoBots.
Yeah. That was a Tonka produced toy line. I just found out like a few hours ago. Kind of again the Temu brand version of Transformers. I'm sure none of it holds up whatsoever.
Yeah, kind of. But I do remember like playing with them together, GoBots and Transformers, because they were essentially the same idea, but GoBots were always easier to transform.
Okay.
Their mechanics or whatever were much simpler if memory serves, and so I liked them better because I didn't have to struggle to turn them into whatever the thing was that they were supposed to be. Yeah, I mean, Lego, Hot Wheels, and Matchbox cars was a big thing for me. I loved little toy cars.
Were you a car guy? Were you a car guy back in like the day? You'd say.
I mean, I've always liked cars from the aesthetic standpoint. I don't know anything about engine sizes and any of that stuff. I couldn't fix a car if my life depended on it, but I always liked.
But the stuff like the engineering, the design, the lines, the coloring, the plating, like the beauty of the thing.
Always loved that stuff. Yeah, I mean, I had a ton of Hot Wheels cars when I was a kid.
Got it.
So yeah, those were like the big ones. I'm sure there are others. I mean, if you talk about Thundercats, you could move on to Silverhawks, which was like a spin-off of Thundercats.
Yeah.
I had little plastic Smurf action, not even action figures, but they were like little statuettes that, of a bunch of different Smurfs and all that stuff. Yeah, I had kind of like 1 or 2 of every toy line. Like I said, never had the complete set of anything, but there was always a little bit of everything.
For me, it's again that there's so much context and so many kind of stories around like my kind of fascination with He-Man. I don't think it's kind of worth getting into for this conversation, but like you bring up Silverhawks, that was a weirdly big thing for my brother and I because we had a bootleg Betamax tape of like basically the first 6 Silverhawks episodes that we just watched over and over again. I remember my father bringing home a rental of like the first episodes of Thundercats, watching it, being completely fascinated, being completely enamored by it. My grandmother lived in a small kind of in-law apartment in like the farmhouse next to the farmhouse I grew up. And right after that, my dad came over and he said, "Hey, John, your grandmother has a nice little present for you." And I was like, "Holy shit, I'm getting Mum Ra." I know. I'm just I'm like this is best grandma ever. This is best day ever. I go over there. It is a grandma picked up from probably a Kmart or a CVS or something like that. A little golden book of it was a story about a little boy who found a lost wallet and returned it to its owner. That's the entire story. And I just remember being fucking furious at her.
That's tragic.
That's
yeah, that's rough.
I remember being livid. I remember my parents chastising me because your grandmother loves you so much, and she went out her way and she brought this book back for you. I had just seen fucking Thundercats for the first time, and it just like the whiplash of that entire experience. Yeah. Shout out grandma, long gone, never forgotten. She was one like the best of the best, but it was a tense point in our relationship.
Thinking about Thundercats just briefly for a second, I don't remember when Eric said it. I don't know if we were on mic or off mic, but he had said something about, because I had mentioned, or I had said, how do we not have a live action Thundercats movie yet? How is that not a thing? And I think it was Eric, maybe Johnny, it was you, but I think it was Eric who said something like, well, you know, this He-Man movie, this Master of the Universe movie that's coming out in the future, which is now out, how it does, I think, will, you know, kind of maybe inform whether or not we end up getting a. So I had that in my head walking into the movie last night, and I will say, as I walked out of the movie, I was less confident in our prospects of getting a Thundercats movie.
We'll get into all of it
in the
review itself. There's a whole conversation about how this movie is doing, who's showing up for it. I've not seen the official box office weekend numbers yet, but the odds when I checked Saturday were pretty good that it was going to be outgrossed by Scary Movie. We'll
That's not a good sign.
No.
Last question on the open discussion. What was the moment you remember just kind of falling off being interested in action figures and toys, other than the kind of the nostalgia thing, or like a little kind of, you know, just feeling sentimental about your childhood? What was the point where you just kind of went on to other shit?
To say it was probably late elementary, getting into middle school era, where, you know, I believe I was in 6th grade, but one of the biggest things coming home in 6th grade, my older brother Neil was, you know, in middle school, so he got home earlier.
Right.
And he's like, you guys got to watch this. And he had recorded from MTV the music video for Nirvana Smells Like Teen Spirit, and the video for Give It Away from Red Hot Chili Peppers. And he's like, boom. And then I mean, I couldn't
stay. Did that thing of like, what is this? How do I make the rest of my life about it?
Yeah, I mean, definitely Smells Like Teen Spirit. Just watching it and hearing it, I'm like, something clicked. And but you know, obviously wouldn't really know until years later. But it was just wow, that was awesome. And probably, I'm not saying that was the cause of it, but just around that time,
there was a before and an after for you,
right? I would say around that time, you know, like late elementary, getting into middle school was like just the toys thing was going by the wayside, and getting more into music, listening to it, getting into movies and watching movies, going to the theater more often, more with friends, that is, as well. So I would say probably in that time frame where the toys and action figures started to just
it's at the point all that just kind of fell by the wayside.
Yeah
It's interesting, just especially as Americans, and especially for kind of people that sort of kind of grew up in the generation that we did. There was always a thing, you know, things like the Toy Story movies kind of examined very, very well of just like the what inspires our imagination, what kind of sort of flags our interest, and like the very, very odd kind of almost when you look back at the things that almost sort of feel instantaneous about a thing that was just the center of your world, something suddenly just completely disappearing.
Right.
Andy, how about yourself? Do you have a specific moment like that?
So I don't have a specific moment. I'm sure I know that it was later than it should have happened. You know, it's just as far as like maturity for a normal human being goes. I do know. I
mean, we're doing a podcast about this stuff like in our mid-40s, so we none of us have completely outgrown it.
Correct. And to that point, I was going to say, so you know, if I had significantly more expendable income than I have, and if I wasn't quite as sensible as I am, and I say that as a guy that purchased a failing music store that is still a failing music store, I would 100% have an entire room display full of action figures, those Hot Toys action figures, and I would have all of that shit right now if I could, because I still to this day think that toys, specifically action figures, are freaking awesome.
There's still something appealing. There's still something evocative about it. I mean, these were.
Absolutely.
It was really interesting to me reading about like the cultural context of like this. This is the thing that like we were like the first literally like American youth to be exposed to this Reagan era version of children's programming that was just pure, uncut advertisement. Like in a certain way, like these conversations are kind of like former crack addicts, all kind of sitting around and be like, man, you know what was really great back in the 80s? Crack. Wasn't it good? Wasn't it so? Isn't that the happiest you ever remember being?
Yeah, it really is.
There's really like a level to it.
Yeah, it was some good shit.
Yeah. Personally, for me, I remember going to the house. This was going to be probably. I was into Ninja Turtles for a bit, but then I went to visit. We'll just say Naveen's old bass player, and he told me he got this new video game system from Japan. I didn't know like anything about that. I came over. He put in The Legend of Zelda. It had that scroll at the beginning. It plays the music, sort of lights up. But there's a little scroll that shows you all the weapons, treasures, and tools you can kind of get on this adventure. I was staring at that, and then cut to 20 years later, and I graduate with a master's degree in computer science. So I mean, like that there was sort of like before and after for me there as well.
That's a pretty easy line to draw between A and B on that one.
No question whatsoever. So why don't we get into the quiz that I wrote for today? I thought this would be kind of like a fun way to kind of wind down the show, but I spent the better part of the afternoon, instead of doing housework, researching the weirdest bullshit Masters of the Universe characters from that era. All right. So I'm going to start the slideshow. Can everybody still see the slideshow okay?
So far, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Naveen, I'm going to share these slides. Maybe we can kind of put them in as like a video like feature at this point.
Okay.
But I've called this quiz Maximum Cringer, the worst and weirdest Masters of the Universe characters, and we got 10 of them. I'm going to sort of briefly describe the character, and it's going to be competition between Naveen and Andy to see who can correctly guess the actual character's name. Got 10 of these things. You guys ready to go? Buzz in by saying your first name.
All right. Is this multiple choice, or we just have to guess what the name is?
Yes.
All right.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. If this was just pick a name out of thin air, we'd be here for a very long time. All right. Maximum Cringer. Here we go. First, introduced in the 1989 sci-fi relaunch, The New Adventures of He-Man, the mutant villain Hoove is best described as a cybernetic hybrid of a humanoid, soldier, and what other animal?
Naveen.
Naveen.
I'm going to go with A, alligator.
It is not an alligator. Andy, chance to steal.
So the obvious answer, which makes me believe it's not the correct answer, but I'm going to go with it anyway, is D, a donkey.
It is not a donkey. Chance to steal for both of you.
That makes me so happy that it's not a donkey.
All right, Naveen.
Buzz in. Okay,
wait,
go.
time out. Wait. For the listeners out there, I just want to tell you the answers, the options are an alligator, a kangaroo, a grasshopper.
I'm sorry. I'll read these on the
or a donkey.
on the subsequent passes. So again, that is an alligator, a kangaroo, a grasshopper, or a donkey. So it is not an alligator or a donkey. Buzz in to answer.
Naveen, I go with kangaroo.
You're going to go with kangaroo. Kangaroo is correct. Hoove was a mutant tracking expert with massive biomechanical bipedal legs designed for high jumping and kicking. The screenshot, by the way, you can look this up. The New Adventures of He-Man. He-Man and Skeletor basically go into space. They make new friends. They introduce new heroes and new villains. You look at like screen caps from the show. It's the dullest, worst looking cartoon you could humanly imagine. It was it had its full run and was canceled, I think, within a year or so.
It was terrible.
The cartoon.
You remember this?
Like the figure as well. Like that's totally.
Yeah, the cartoon versus the actual action figure, they do not match. You almost wouldn't be able to know that one was the other.
Really? Yeah.
That's awful.
I mean, you would not really suspect this guy was kind of like a kangaroo, just looking at his
No.
green face and giant teeth.
And he doesn't have a tail.
No, or a pouch,
Or a pouch. Yeah.
or anything kind of really kangaroo-like. His legs, the figure legs, are actually quite skinny.
Interesting.
And
Wow,
the
that thing sucks.
knees go inward as opposed to backwards, like kangaroos. Yeah.
Like a kangaroo. Yeah, there's nothing that screams kangaroo in this one.
All right.
Moving on.
Cool.
Which bizarre character from the late 1980s vintage line is an evil warrior android whose primary action gimmick allows him to split entirely in half down the middle? Is it Twistoid, Multibot, Salrod, or Blast Attack? Buzz in with your
Andrew.
name. Andrew, go.
Multibot.
A Multibot is incorrect. Naveen, chance to steal.
Naveen, Saurod.
Salrod is also incorrect. Buzz in with your name.
Jeez.
Andrew.
Shoot.
Blast Attack.
Blast Attack is correct. And look at kind of how grisly
Wow.
this thing is. Blast Attack, this android warrior featured a cord that when pulled caused his left and right halves to spring completely apart to simulate an explosion. So we can see on the left here the original figure, and on the right what his guts and organs look like. For whatever reason, they are painted completely blood red on the side.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've never seen that dude before.
Blast Attack.
Yeah. All right.
Blast Attack. He could do his thing once, and that was pretty much it. He had one movie. It was a good one.
And the thing about this action figure is that like 90% of the kids that had it, they lost one half of this guy.
Yes.
They had no idea where it was.
Mm-hmm.
And
Should've
hopefully they were able to keep the side with the head.
Uh-huh. But
Anyway.
you know that wasn't the case for
No.
probably more than 50% of the children in America.
Yep.
And then they gave it to Johnny's dad. And
Uh-huh.
tap, tap.
My parents fighting late into the night.
Here's the attack, but no blast. All right.
This 1980s character, Rio Blast, is best described as an inhabitant of Eternia who was also a what? An ancient Aztec warrior with mechanical wings, a deep-sea diver with a built-in submarine propeller,
Well,
a futuristic cowboy covered in hidden flip-out lasers, or a medieval knight who transforms into a castle wall. Buzz in with your name.
Naveen, I'm going D. A medieval knight who transformed into a castle.
It
I
is
hope
not
you're right.
D, a medieval knight. He's another actual character who's not on this quiz.
Wait. You didn't make that one up?
No.
Holy shit. Wow. Okay. C, a futuristic cowboy covered in hidden flip-out
C
lasers.
is correct. Rio
Nice.
Blast. I think there's a very strong Chuck Norris analog here.
That dude looks like a porn star.
But complete with a mustache and spurs, Rio Blast had panels on his chest, knees, and hands that popped open to reveal concealed heavy blaster weaponry.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
You know, I'm starting to see why people think that the original He-Man series was kind of gay.
Again,
Yeah.
400 million, 7 million, 0 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
Grand
Yeah.
opening, grand closing.
Hmm.
The if you thought that one raised some questions, this incredibly obscure, the 1980s character Plundor the Spoiler, a buff, bright pink rabbit villain who wears metal armor, has what ultimate evil goal in his single animated appearance? He wants to steal all the Easter eggs on Eternia. He wants to turn He-Man into a living carrot statue. He wants to transform his home planet, Tranus, into a toxic waste dump. He wants to dye Castle Grayskull bright pink to match his fur.
Oh, geez.
Not quite a hint. This character was actually conceived by creator of Batman, the animated series, Paul Dini. Buzz in with your name.
Naveen, he wants to dye Castle Grayskull. bright pink to match his fur.
That is incorrect. Andy, chance to steal.
Oh man, I badly want it to be the carrot statue, but I think it's C. Transform his home planet Tranus into a toxic waste dump.
Anti-toxic waste stuff was always a good bet during the 90s, during the 80s for children's entertainment. That is correct. Plundor, here he is. Was an eco-villain who stripped planets of their natural resources for profit, despite looking like a muscular Easter bunny. Paul Dini designed this character, but he came up with the idea because he loved Matt Groening's artwork, particularly Life in Hell. And Plundor himself was based on Groening's character Binky the Rabbit.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Cliff Notes, all your childhood was stupid.
Oh, God, super dumb.
Yeah. What is the primary action gimmick of the vintage character Mosquitor? He shoots foam darts out of his pointed nose. A pump on his back makes visible blood churn inside his chest. His wings flap violently when you squeeze his legs. He leaks red ink from his stinger when pressed. Buzz in with your name.
Naveen.
Yep.
His wings flap violently when you squeeze his legs.
The wings flap violently is incorrect. Andy, chance to steal.
Oh, man. B. A pump on his back makes visible blood churn inside his chest.
B is correct.
Woo!
Here's what that actually looks like.
Wow.
A pump on his back makes
awesome.
visible blood churn. This macro gimmick simulated the insectoid villain draining the literal blood and life energy out of his heroic targets.
I mean, okay, awesome gimmick. The head of that action figure is ridiculous.
Very gross.
But that's a cool gimmick.
I actually, the miniature on the right, I have in my collection unpainted still. I'll have to try to get to it at some point.
Yeah, you will.
Now,
Now you will, yeah.
Yeah.
6. What is the, might be my favorite one. What is the defining physical characteristic of the ultra obscure Masters of the Universe Classics? So this is official line. Masters of the Universe Classics character known as Molar. He is a heroic baker who throws explosive donuts. He is a mutant worm with 3 human faces. He is a muscular dentist with a lab coat and drill. He is a mechanical gladiator made entirely out of leftover vehicle parts. Buzz in with your first name.
Oh, jeez. I've been really terrible at this, so I'm going to let Andy go first. Get rid of one of my... Possibly get rid of one. But...
Oh, God. You know what? I'm going to say it has to be. He's a muscular dentist with a lab coat and drill.
He is a muscular dentist with a lab coat and drill.
Molar.
He is actually Skeletor's personal dentist, complete with a lab coat and drill. Molar, attorney and dentist, originated in an Adult Swim Robot Chicken sketch before Mattel shockingly produced him as an official, legitimate action figure.
Oh man, he's great.
It's maybe my favorite Robot Chicken sketch. I will share it. I will share it after the podcast. It's one of the funniest fucking things I've ever seen in my life. And Andy, to your statement earlier about being an adult with limited self-control, this set unopened is going for $46 on eBay right now.
I mean, that's not that much money, Johnny.
Yeah. Skeletor, you have an impacted wisdom tooth. They, for whatever reason, basically give him the same voice as Skeletor, and the whole sketch is him just chasing down Skeletor, trying to give him dental work.
Please share that in the chat.
Yeah. So good.
Incredible.
Yeah. 7. Which vintage 1980s action figure was packaged as a member of the Evil Horde, came with 22 separate snapped-together body parts, and was marketed as, quote, the evil beast of 1,000 bodies? Is it Multibot, Modulock, Dragstore, or Horde Prime?
Naveen,
go.
B. Modulock.
Modulock is correct.
Ah, nice.
That is a figure I actually had. Here's an illustration. Modulok can be completely disassembled and reconstructed into hundreds of bizarre multi-headed mutant combinations. Here's what they don't tell you. Those things fucking hurt like hell on the tips of your fingers to snap together.
Oh, yeah.
They look like
What are the body parts on the left supposed to be?
On the left there, so it's
a man's ear.
Kind of two. It's kind of two different sets of hips between the kind of the parts you see on the left and the parts that you see on the right. So there's kind of a lower hip. There's kind of a lower hip and an upper hip / kind of abdomen kind of distinction. But
I see.
Yeah, I see. Don't lie.
Right.
Huh. I'm just looking at these things right now. I can hear the sound of them snapping together, and I can hear this. I can still feel this little, just fucking twinge of pain, as it actually is. Like part of what I think is fascinating about revisiting these things is particularly for kind of guys our age. You show them like photos of some of this stuff, and the memories that sort of come flooding back just immediately when you look at pictures like this.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Question 8. I had to kind of dip into She-Ra lore for this a bit. She-Ra, incidentally, kind of one, maybe the only sort of broadly successful He-Man adaptation they've done at all, like in like the past 20 years or so.
Right.
Not sure if any of you guys kind of watched the Netflix cartoon at all, but
no.
Yeah. The only thing I've heard kind of talk about fondly. What makes, but this is not the reasonably well-respected recent cartoon. This is more 80s bullshit here. What makes the action figure for heroic character Netosa stand out as incredibly lazy from a design standpoint? Her weapon is a literal plastic butterfly net that she cannot hold because her hands are molded shut. She doesn't have legs and must rely on a plastic scooter accessory to move around. She is an exact repaint of the He-Man character Ram Man, just with a pink helmet, or her signature capture net is actually just her removable fabric cape. Buzz in with your name.
Could be lazy from a design standpoint. Naveen, I'm going D. Her signature capture net is actually just her removable fabric cape.
Naveen is correct for that. While other figures had cool spring-loaded actions, Netosa's gimmick required full imagination, manual labor, making her one of the lowest selling figures in the final wave of a line. To use her special net power, you literally had to take the net off of her back and just throw it at whoever else you were playing with.
Yeah, that's a pretty crappy action figure.
Yeah, they were kind of out of ideas at this point.
It doesn't even look like the helmet fits her head.
Wow. Or like there's a huge gap like in the net itself, and so it's basically like even if you threw that net at someone, they could just kind of slip right out.
Yeah. Huh. All right.
Should have gone back in the oven with this one.
All
right. Here's another She-Ra character. The character Pika Blue is a member of the Great Rebellion. What bizarre physical feature does she use to spy on the evil horde? Is it a fan of massive peacock-like feathers with human-looking eyeballs on them? Is it a giant mechanical magnifying glass built into her armor? Is it that she can detach her own head and leave it floating in midair to watch out for her enemies? Or is it a telescopic helmet that extends her vision through solid rock? Buzz in with your name. Yep.
Detachable head? See?
It is not the detachable head. Naveen, chance to steal.
Dang.
A fan of massive peacock-like feathers.
It is, yes, it's a fan of massive peacock-like feathers with human-looking eyeballs on them. Here she is. Pika Blue.
Wow.
Use these supernatural feather eyes to gain total omniscience over Eternia and Etheria, giving her a look that was more biblically accurate angel than standard childhood princess doll.
Yeah.
Okay, so
sure does.
Yep. Let's see how we're doing at this point. With a single question left, we are 5 for Andy, 4 for Naveen, so we have a chance to die.
Oh, wow.
What makes this incredibly rare? late 80s European exclusive character Titus stand out from almost every other standard figure in the vintage Masters of the Universe toy line? Is it his body was made entirely out of glow-in-the-dark green ooze? Is it that he had a fully working electronic walkie-talkie built into his back? Is it that he stood over 12 inches tall and was armed with a giant vacuum cleaning weapon? Or was it finally he was a tiny 1-inch tall companion figure who attached to He-Man's shoulder? Buzz in with your first name.
Exclusive character Titus.
Titus.
Stand out from almost every other standard figure in the vintage match.
European exclusive.
Naveen. He was a tiny 1-inch tall companion.
D is incorrect. Andy, chance to steal.
All right, this to me seems like the most 80s answer. B, fully working electronic walkie-talkie built into his back.
That is also incorrect.
Dang.
Buzz in with your first name.
Naveen.
Yep.
He stood over 12 inches tall.
Which is all. Naveen ties it up.
Armed
Nice.
with a giant vacuum cleaner weapon.
And here he is.
What?
Wow.
Titus was a heroic giant only released in Italy during the dying days of the original line, designed to scoop up regular-sized figures in his weapon. We see it fully illustrated with Titus and his vacuum cleaner trying to scoop up Trapjaw, while a much, much tinier He-Man looks on in kind of just confusion.
Yeah.
A point of clarification here. So this gentleman's name is Titus. On his chest plate thing, there is a large gold G.
I don't know what's going on in Italy, dude.
Does that G stand for giant?
Naveen, you were in the country recently. Like any insights at all here?
They did not have any Titus in there anywhere around, or Thor with a vacuum cleaner hanging out.
It's basically just long-haired He-Man.
It basically is. That just with this loincloth, that's not like a height that you want everybody else to really be at, you know?
No, I mean Superman. He-Man is right at dong level.
And who's the green character in the other picture?
It's that shit of like pretty much every villain would just be like an analog to like whatever like hero that you had.
Right.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay, so that for the big competition puts Andy at 6 points and Naveen at 4.
I thought it was 5-5.
Look, 5-5. We tied.
Oh, sorry. It's kind of like a He-Man style lesson, like sort of like kind of like post credits thing that we should do this. Do you guys want to say like something kind of briefly on sharing and friendship before we wrap up?
I believe we should just stand with our hands on our hips, our fists on our hips, and throw our heads back and laugh. Okay. I mean, you'll get that once you see the movie.
Yeah. Well,
okay,
doesn't that happen in like a lot of older movies?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Freeze frame.
There we go.
Hate about the movies, they do that shit for like 5 straight minutes.
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah. Boy, that film, I'm looking forward to that conversation. Let's kind of wind it down at that point. Any closing thoughts? Were the 80s great or were the 80s stupid?
Both.
Yes.
Yeah.
They had a lot of great things.
I would definitely say both.
Yeah. I mean, cool toys that you actually use your imagination with, as opposed to everything being mechanical and doing something like nowadays, but stupid, like Titus and Modulok.
It's that weird kind of incongruity that I don't quite know even existed prior to the 80s, where you can look at something that you're sentimental about from your childhood or your teenage years and sort of be like, this was dumb, but this was amazing kind of at the same time. I don't know that the older generations kind of had that same kind of ironic relationship to their childhood and like their cartoons and their toys and their music. Things were either just kind of good or they were sort of bad. Just kind of like thinking out But I kind of feel it's like when you look at the history of like literally toy companies had been laboring for years to be able to make these things more stupid and more crass and more commercial than they were ever allowed to be, like in this country before. And kind of what we came around with is this, I think, just kind of like very a relationship that may have kind of started with people our age of just like, I am so ashamed of this, but it's something I so love, like at the exact same point.
Yeah, I mean, the food fighters that I grew up with probably wouldn't be a big thing now, but it was.
You would probably not have one of your favorite bands if the Food Fighters exists,
or Green Jello, whichever one. But yeah, they definitely did what they could to market to kids and sell toys, and did everything they could to make that happen. So it was definitely a dumb time, and now it's just we got.
Right.
I think I don't even know what they have nowadays, or if it's mostly just based on anything they can that's relatable, like maybe Fortnite having those kind of toys to really market that way, as opposed to just being bonkers crazy and out there.
Any insight for you guys as fathers and kind of watching like your children kind of go through like these ages and sort of like these phases of just of how it might be different now compared to what it was for us coming up?
Well, I mean, so for me, the thing that I always go back to is when we were kids, you could go to the mall,
right,
and there would be a toy store in the mall. For me, it was KB.
It was KB here as well, yeah.
Or you could also, if you could convince your parents to do it, you could go to like the freestanding toy store, which was Toys R Us. Neither of those places exist anymore.
Right.
Yep.
True.
They're like toy stores now are either Target, or something like that, or they're like the educational toy stores that are kind of fun for adults to go to, but kids are like, this is friggin' boring. I don't care about any of this crap.
Shout out Target for having a way better board game selection consistently for like ever since I got into the hobby like a decade ago, than they have any kind of real reason to be. Like they, for whatever reason, they always stock way better shit than they need to.
I think they spend more time on their board game selection and their Lego selection than any of the rest of their toy selection.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think Legos would probably be the only thing that's actually really stood the test of time with being a toy and everything. But yeah, to your point, the toy stores themselves are gone. I mean,
it's been a non-entity, and it's not also not the sort of thing where everybody thought, oh, record stores, the vinyl shops are going to go the way of the dodo, and they've had a perfectly respectable modern resurgence. You've not seen the same thing with toy shops.
Nope.
No. There was a famous one here that called the Mottos, and they had just recently closed about 5 or 6 years ago. I don't know.
Really?
They haven't closed all of them yet, but there was one that closed recently nearby that, was a toy store, but it also had like models that, the old days where you just got these plastic pieces put together. You have to pop them out, and then you glue it together to end up making some kind of car model or something of that sort.
Much like He-Man itself, it's much more a fascination for guys in their 40s and 50s at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
If you guys are in like a vintage store or an old comic book shop or something like that, and you happen across an original toy from our childhood, whether it's a Star Wars action figure, those are probably fewer and further in between these days because they're so valuable, but just some random thing that just sort of like you remember from your childhood, does it excite you? Is it like, oh shit, that's one of those, even if it's not a thing you were super into, like, oh, but there's that thing that reminds me of when I was a kid.
Naveen, how about you go first on this, because I have like a slightly longer answer to it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. My short answer would be like, yeah, definitely. It's just always cool if something just clicks, like, wow, there it is. You know, I haven't seen that in years. And,
Yeah.
you know, either I used to play with this at a friend's house or we had one at home, and it's just like the stories that just come out like instantly that you want to, you know, tell everybody
It's
who's
the same
next
thing.
to
We
you.
kind of see like these photos of some of these whole things, and all of a sudden, just something, just two neurons link up in your brain and just like light up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely. So yeah. Or, you know, you just get to a tag sale and somebody's just trying to get rid of it because they had it. It's like, no way.
Mhm.
I can't
Yeah.
believe we have one of these still. Haven't seen one these ones in ages.
Yep.
So yeah, it definitely get excited, and you know, like I said, tell somebody who's right next to you that's there and all the stories, and you're like, all right, yeah, I know you don't have 3 hours to waste on this.
Man, it's been
So
premise.
anything
I
else.
thought about the sectars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. You know, my version of that is just kind of straight collecting a sort of like a kind of action figures from that time period. Is I just feel like, you know, you get like a little bit of an endorphin bump from kind of, you buy this thing, you take it home, you kind of put it on your shelf, but that's kind of it. And I feel like I've kind of reached a point where, like, if I decide to get into it, I worry that I would get way too into it and it will become unsatisfying very, very quickly. The way I personally kind of squared that a bit is about 10 years ago when I was living in New York. I decided I would like to kind of get more into more artistic things and more analog hobbies. And one of the big things I picked up was miniature painting. I'm still not great at this point, but I've been working at it for like about a decade, and I figured out a combination of things that work for me. The majority of the pieces that I produce are either Star Wars. I bought a very big collection of He-Man miniatures a few years back, and then depending on sort of what free time that I have, there is a more kind of like a more moderately skilled set of figures that I've wanted to do from a company called Atomic Mass Games that are basically that are mostly kind of sort of Marvel characters. Like out of that line, I have just completed a Venom, and I have a Rocket and Groot kind of prepped and sitting on my desk right now that I want to paint at some point. That for me, I've just kind of figured out just how I know that my brain works, and kind of just what I find satisfying. There's a thing about getting one of these things, priming it, planning out like a paint set, hating yourself the entire time you're working at it because you're like, I suck. I should not do any artwork at all. Then you finish it and you're like, oh, this looks pretty cool. And then you did like the key thing. It's a double layer. First, a layer of semi-gloss, or what they call satin varnish, and then a layer of matte varnish on top of it. You look at it, and something about that combination, like top coats, catches the perfect sheen. It either bounces or pulls in light the way like an old 80s toy would. Once you finish like a piece like this, I have kind of pieces sitting on my display cases that I finished a decade ago. I can still look at and feel proud of and feel good at. Be like, no, I fucking did that. I didn't just spend like $10 on the store. I actually put something myself that's completely original into it, and just it's like the satisfaction for me is like a lot more kind of long-term and satisfying. So when I kind of see like these things at like Andy, what you're describing at shops, and when I kind of walk by them, I'm always like, oh, that's cool. That reminds me of it. But I'm always like, I have a real more personal and satisfying version of that to come home to at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, that's it. Not to mention fringe benefit. They're miniatures, so they take up way less space.
Sure.
Which is always a good thing. So yeah, no, I get that. That's, and having seen a lot of your miniatures in person up close, they are cool. I mean, they're just cool. They just are. It's a neat little thing to look at and kind of check out and look at the little details, and you know, they're cool.
And with all the He-Man coverage we've been doing, especially, I finished 24 miniatures out of like the He-Man line that I started like basically kind of back during COVID, and I have probably 40, maybe 50 of these things left. Wow. I've got all the Hordak guys. I've got all of the Snake people, including Squeeze and Cobra Khan, and 2 different versions of King Hiss. I've got a full He-Man riding around on Battle Cat, got a full Skeletor riding on Panther that I have to do with it at some point, and I am losing my mind that I have to spend my time recently on other adult shit rather than just being able to kind of sit down and paint like I actually want.
Being an adult blows. Don't grow up.
Truth, yeah. Absolute best case, start a podcast with some friends where we talk about toys.
Yeah.
Okay. Any closing thoughts, or you guys want to wind down there?
No, I think that was good.
Yeah. It was a good episode. Good prep
did
work and quiz there.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah, that quiz was ridiculous.
Yeah. I finished it very last minute. I love how frustrating it was the entire time. I feel like that's made it pretty good.
Yeah, nothing made sense.
Yeah. Episode 97, Rebels Without a Pod. Let's wrap it up there. Hopefully we'll have Eric back on the show for next week, and we will be watching and discussing the 87 Gary Goddard Masters of the Universe, starring Dolph Lundgren, Frank Langella. And from there, winding down our, I would say, fun but kind of wildly inconsistent canonized cycle.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
There have been ups and downs.
Indeed.
Or if you're Andy, there have been exclusively downs.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
All right. There was Space Girl. Right.
That's right.
Anyways, gentlemen, pleasure.
Yeah.
Talk to everybody soon.
Take care.
See ya.
Work for it. Star Wars figures that I've been working on for like a long time. This comes from a line by Fantasy Flight Games called Imperial Assault. There have been maybe in our adult lives 4 perfect Star Wars things that have come out. I would say Andor, the Knights of the Old Republic original video game back in like 2004. I would say Last Jedi. If you cut out 20 minutes, that's kind of controversial. I would say the last 2 seasons of Star Wars Rebels. So just the complete bastards of the thing. I mean, that's purely like a COVID fascination for me. And I would say like this board game Imperial Assault is fucking unimpeachable. The miniatures themselves are gorgeous, and it's also a fantastic game on top of everything else. If we have the opportunity later on down the line, it's something I would actually really like to introduce to you guys. During COVID, during those completely chaotic initial months when everything, particularly California, where I was living at the time, shut down, I was trying my best to collect all of the Imperial Assault expansions, all the blister packs, everything else. I wanted every single thing from this line. The one thing I could not find was Hoth, and it was driving me out of my fucking gourd because I couldn't find Hoth. And it's like a big box expansion of Hoth, and like the Hoth thing, it's got the Wampa. It's got the snowtroopers. It's got that medical droid who's keeping like Luke in a big tube for like whatever reason. I'm losing my goddamn mind. And like it looked like all the board game production companies were temporarily shutting down, and it looked like a lot of them were going to go out of business permanently. I'm like, I am going to lose my shit if I can't get my hand on Hoth. Okay, so COVID is kind of going on. And it's going on, and things slow down like a little bit, and stuff gradually starts to reopen. I was originally in Santa Barbara. I moved out to Vegas like during this time period, but I'm keeping my eye on the good quality board game shops that I knew in Southern California. And one night, I see a board game shop. Apologize for blanking on the name, but actually reopened in Santa Clarita. And I know it's a small shop, but it had a great selection, a lot of really kind of obscure shit. I see that they are like, you can come in, you have to wash your hands when you come in, you have to be wearing a mask, but we're open for business again. We're trying to get back on our feet. I call them up and I'm like, do you have this Star Wars Hoth expansion? I've been looking everywhere for it online. I cannot find it. And the guy's like, I have 1 copy left. And it's like, if you can come here tonight, it's yours. I drove 4 hours on a work night. I called the guy at one point. I'm like, hey, I'm just outside the city. Can you stay open like another 10 minutes? He's like, no problem. There, I get there. I'm like, hey, I'm the weirdo that's here for the Hoth expansion. He pulls it out from behind the counter, perfect mint in box, wrapped, everything else. I'm like, thank you so much. This is incredible. And he's like, yeah, so I'm open anyway to take a look around the store if you want. See, I've got a little bit more. They're probably going to go out of print, but I got like a little bit more Imperial Salt stuff, like in the corner right there. If you want to take a look, they go. And it's mostly stuff that I have. There's a single Princess Leia. There's a single double pack C-3PO and R2-D2. There's a single Chewbacca and Han Solo. And then I realized there are 20 Lando Calrissian blister packs on the fucking shelf. And chills went up and down my body. Two of them off the shelf.
PTSD. PTSD.
Because I knew Father's Day is coming up. And a plan sprung just whole cloth, like into my brain, right? I'm like, this is okay. So COVID, but so this is probably 86 when my dad, just kind of pulled all his Lando shenanigans. This is 2021, 2022. Time has passed, but some memories do not fade. And Father's Day was coming up, so I got my 2 Lando blister packs. I bring home. I have one still in my possession, unopened. I'm going to get to him at some point. But the other one, I painted the entirety of it, including everything from the neck up. I don't know why it was important to me to kind of paint the entire figure. And I did it properly with the proper kind of base coating and the shading and the highlighting and kind of the interior. When you paint these things, you realize how much detail kind of goes into the costume designs. You don't realize it unless you kind of go through an exercise like this that Boba Fett has knee pads. He has like big prominent knee pads. You know this shit when you sit with like a character for 4 hours. Lando has this beautiful gold lame on the inside of his cape. I painted that so carefully, and then get like a little box, address it to my family. Father's Day is coming up, and the last thing I do before putting Lando in the box is I pull out an X-Acto knife. I saw Lando's head off, and then I put it in the box with a little note that says, "Happy Father's Day to my dad," and I mailed it off.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
Revenge is sweet.
He still has headless Lando like up on his desk right now.
Were you able to? Did you happen to be able to see his reaction when he opened it, or did you find out about it?
It was COVID. I mean, he called me, and Dad was just like, "Pretty good, pretty good." And then Mom got on the phone, and the first thing she said was, "Do you remember the headless Lando Calrissian that he gave you?" Yeah.
No,
I don't remember it. Yeah.
That's. Yeah.
Could you tell me?
No recollection.
No recollection. So
yeah,
figure it out.
That's good shit. I like it.
Good shit. Okay.
No, I think it's got to stay.
We ran like a little bit late, guys. How are we feeling about that episode tonight?
That was fun. It was good.
That was fun.
Yeah. Cool. Catch up with you guys in a bit.
All right, boys.
See ya.
Cheers.
Take it easy.
Yeah.